I think we can all agree that the right set of wheels can absolutely change your Mustang's look entirely. Now, for a lot of Mustang owners, a set of wheels and lowering springs might be the only modification they actually make. And while the late model Mustang and even the early Mustangs, there are limitless wheel options, there are a few wheels out there on the market that just scream Mustang. So today I'm taking a look at my top 5 choices for the most iconic Mustang wheels of all time. With all the Mustang wheels out there, it's obviously kind of tough to come up with just 5, but number 5 on my list is going to be the styled steel wheel. Now, the styled steel wheel first showed up in 1965. It was a $119 option for your V8 Mustang that got you steel wheels that looked a lot better than your conventional steel wheel and featured a bright red center cap. Now, that wheel was originally a 14x5. That wheel stayed basically the same from 65 through 66, and then 67 saw some small changes and a blue center cap. Now, the styled steel wheel became so popular with classic Mustangs that it was available in a variety of sizes throughout the years, from the original 14 all the way up to 20-inch versions for the modern Mustangs. Now, while I definitely prefer the look of the smaller wheels on the classic Mustangs, you can't deny the styled steel is an iconic look that looks right at home on your first-gen Mustang. Number 4 on my list will probably be no surprise to the Fox Body crowd, and that is the Draglight from Weld Racing. Now, the Fox Body Mustangs started gaining tons of popularity in the mid-80s as they got faster, and tons of them showed up at drag strips. Well, right around that time, the Weld Draglight came out, and it was a match made in heaven. I mean, pretty much back in the late 80s, early 90s, you would think 373s, Flowmasters, and Weld Draglights were factory options because almost every Fox Body had them on there. Now, the Weld Draglight has survived through the years and still looks great today on your Fox Body, being in my opinion one of the best looking four-lug wheels around and a classic iconic drag wheel in the Mustang history. Number 3 on my list is going to be the Bullet wheel. Now, the Bullet wheel originally came from the 68 Mustang Bullet. Now, we all know Bullet by now. Besides the dark Highland green paint, the wheels on the Bullet were one of the most noticeable cosmetic cues, and back then they were American racing torque thrustees. When Ford decided to make a 2001 version of the Bullet, they took that styling and kind of modernized it in a 17x8 cast aluminum wheel, and the Bullet wheel was born. Now, since that wheel showed up, those wheels have showed up all over SN95 Mustangs, the new Edge cars. People became very, very hooked on that style because it's a classic 5-spoke and it looks great. They're available in multiple finishes, and again, sizes from 16-inch all the way up to 22 inches, rivets, without rivets, all kinds of options that started off from the original Bullet wheel from 1968. Now, the top 2 were very, very difficult as both these wheels could easily have been number 1, but for number 2, I'm going to go with the Magnum 500. Now, the Magnum 500 wheel first showed up on the Mustang in 1969 on the Boss 429 and Boss 302, and it was a 15x7 wheel with a classic chrome rim and a black face. Now, the Magnum 500 wasn't just a Mustang wheel. Versions of the Magnum 500 showed up on everything from Dodges, everything from GM. I mean, that wheel was everywhere in the late 60s and early 70s, but it looked right at home in the Mustang and became very famous for being on the Mustang itself. Now, those wheels were available through 1970, but they've shown up on all kinds of different Mustangs throughout the year. And again, reproduction has been available in sizes from 14 all the way up to 20 for the modern Mustang, making the Magnum 500 probably one of the most iconic wheels and definitely the most iconic wheel for the classic Mustang. The number 1 on my list, and again, probably based on sheer popularity, is the Cobra R wheel. Now, in 1995, Ford once again had a Mustang Cobra R available, and again, stripped down. This time it had a bigger engine, better transmission, had big brakes, and the new Cobra R wheel. Now, the Cobra R wheel was a cast aluminum wheel, and it was a 17x9. Now, on the Cobra R, it came with a 255/45 BFG tire, but everybody knows the 270/540 fits great on that 9-inch wheel, and Cobra R wheels were everywhere. Ford even actually carried the design over to 1998 for the Cobra wheels. Now, those were a 17x8, but again, it still had the curved 5-spoke look that became iconic for the Cobra R. Now, just like all the other popular wheels, Cobra R's are available in all kinds of sizes. They made them as small as 16s and 17s, all the way up to even 21s and 22-inch versions of these wheels. Now, the classic R with the snake is one of the greatest center caps ever in my opinion, but there's tons of other center caps that became available for the reproductions, and that Cobra R style is still available in wheels today. Now, while wheel choice is obviously very subjective and very personal, we can all agree the right set of wheels looks good. Now, those 5 wheels I mentioned, in my opinion, are the 5 wheels that absolutely scream Mustang. But again, what's yours? Let us know in the comments below what your favorite Mustang wheel is of all time.